Thank you, ACLU, for putting on such a tremendous event because this is critical to the movement. Yes, sir. And of course, to my friend Marcus, thank you for those words. Thank you for opening. And of course, thank you for Mobile Justice, because as many of you know, had it not been for the video, none of us would know who Oscar Grant is today.
Right.
And I do see quite a few men in here, so to the men, a happy wife, a happy life. And I say that because it would be remiss of me, and even my demise, if I do not let you know that my beautiful wife here on TV, as she is known throughout the nation today, is here and has been a part of me, of course, my inspiration to continue in and do what I do in this fight. So to her love, her compassion, just her spirit, and I think most importantly, her selflessness and sharing me with the world. Thank you, baby, my queen.
Oh, you're welcome, dear.
Wow. So we, the Oscar Grant family, Oscar Grant himself, me specifically, want to thank all of you for embracing us, standing with us, crying for us, going back and forth to court with us, but most importantly, utilizing your First Amendment right to speak to the very injustice of what you witnessed through video of what happened to Oscar. And the fact that you were protesting emphasizing how important police accountability was. We are clear as a family, again, me specifically, that had you not done that, we would not have been able to stand, and even more importantly than that, the world wouldn't have come to know that for the first time in California state history, an officer was arrested, charged, convicted, and sent to prison. I mean, as we observe across the country, we can see that it doesn't really happen. So, again, we here in the state of California can set the pace to many things that can really transform this country. And Mobile Justice, the ACLU, and of course you, are the leaders in making that happen. So I want to really say thank you for being here, thank you for being active, and thank you for wanting to change this world so that everybody can have real freedom, justice, and equality.
Amen.
And I don't want to leave out labor involvement. The ILW Local 10 Courageous step in shutting down the ports. Of course, definitely the students in their creative arts, their spoken word, their poetry, but most of all, their skills in social media, because this social media was one of the major impacts that helped us get that officer arrested, charged, convicted. Of course, I don't want to leave out those that were in the rebellion,
right,
and those that had some form of direct action, whether it be shutting down BART, going to the BART things too, not just the fact that Miserly was arrested, convicted, and sent to jail, but BART Police Chief G resigned, General Manager of BART, Dorothy Duggar, resigned, Linton Johnson, the public relation representative of BART, was removed. Tony Peroni, the officer that was up on the platform, was fired. Marisol Dominici, also up on the platform, was fired. And Tom Orloff, go ahead and clap on that. And Tom Orloff, who was the district attorney head who actually prosecuted Huey Newton, resigned.
Yeah, get him out.
But I wanted you to hear that in this war, many battles are won, but yet wars are still lost. So we don't count all these little battle victories as victories, but we do count them as historic. Because what is a victory is when no more Americans, black, brown, or white, is killed wrongfully by the police throughout this country. That's when we can really say we've been victorious. So we cannot sit on our laurels and think that it's all over just because some small battles have been won. We are really at war.
We are.
Our civil liberties are in jeopardy. And you that are sitting in this room will become the catalyst of making sure that our civil liberties remain intact and that we as citizens of this country have a right to real freedom, justice, and equality. So thank you again for being here. I wanted to lay down some historical aspects so you can really grasp just what kind of struggle we're in and how critical it is for not about us, but about our future generation, these babies that we're bringing into this world, because this is what this is about. And if we fail to stand up and fight on their behalf, and we think it's bad now, this will look like child's play when they become of your age. So this is not about us. It is about our future. We need to always remember that these babies have a right to real freedom, justice, and equality, and for that to remain intact, for them to truly have it, is the work that we will do today that will make their future right. You know, because we're not just here to do workshops. We're not just here to hear about some of the things that has happened in the past. We're here to be mobilized. We're here to pick up the banner of 86. I'll give a backdrop really quick first. Since 9/11, over 5,000 Americans have been killed by U.S. police officers, which is equivalent to the number of U.S. soldiers who have been killed in the line of duty in the Iraq War. This is according to Mint Press News in 2013. I would say without hesitation, since that time, at least 2,000 to 3,000 more Americans have been killed by the U.S. police in this country. Or simply put, I say at least 1.5 Americans per day in the last 15 years have been killed by police in this country. As a result of this, as well as the increase in militarization of the policing techniques, Americans are 8 times more likely to be killed by the police than a terrorist group. And this is all based on a Washington blog post based on official statistical data. So this is not something that I just, put in my head, but this is just real data that you can actually go out and find and verify. The most pressing domestic issue in America today is police terrorism. The very foundation of this country is hemorrhaging on police accountability, police transparency, of course, police murder. Your failure to see the nature of this war that we are in will help create an environment for your babies and your grandbabies that will make what we see today as child's play. Your generation basically is the best that we've ever produced. It will be your sacrifice and commitment in this war that will make us victorious for our children's future. For this is not about us, it again is about our children. We are at war against a formidable opponent. Historically, for every gain made toward real freedom, justice, and equality, there has been backlash against that gain. Right after we gained freedom, known as emancipation, a backlash of black codes came into existence. In response to those black codes, we gained the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment that greatly expanded the civil rights of black Americans. Yet, immediately after that gain, another backlash came into existence called Jim Crow. Again, we fought with the civil rights movement, the ACLU, and Emmett Till's mother, Mamie Till, and her bravery, and again we gained the 1964 civil rights legislation. And again, immediately after that gang of 1964 civil rights legislation, a backlash of a campaign of war was announced by Nixon war on drugs, Reagan war on poverty, Clinton's war on crime, Bush and Obama's post-9/11 war on terrorism. By degrees, each of these war campaigns expanded and empowered state police force, always at the expense of civil liberties. And these are just four among a slew of reckless programs. As you can see, we are at war. The most pressing domestic issue today is the expansion of a police state. The use of state violence, repression, and intimidation is becoming the norm for stripping away of American civil liberties. The very foundation of this country is hemorrhaging. You hear what I'm saying? The very foundation of this country is hemorrhaging on police accountability and transparency. I believe as long as we fail to call it what it is, we cannot strategically fight and win this war. Police terrorism is the use of violence and intimidation in the pursuit of some political aim. What is that political aim? We are at a war against an unjust system. The beginning of that change starts with holding accountable those who perpetrate the harm on American citizens. I am personally invested in SB 1286 by what happened to Oscar Grant. Johannes Mensley had 5 incidents of abusive behavior patterns in his personal folder that could not even be discussed in front of the jury during his trial for the murder of Oscar Grant. Nor could it be used to establish a state of mind before he shot Oscar. Had it been visible to the jury, Johannes Mensley would be in prison today. But more importantly than accountability issue is the preventive issue. SB 1286, Enhanced Community Oversight on Police Misconduct and Serious Use of Force. Had it been in place before Oscar was murdered, he would be living today. SB 1286 is similar to legislation that we're working on a national basis called the Uniform Reporting Law Enforcement Improvement Act. The idea is to bring into existence the DOJ's Civil Rights Division investigation that is normally called pattern and practice. When pattern and practice investigations are required, an investigation of the agency history becomes the focus. It is from this investigative focus of the agency's pattern and practice that brings to light on the agency's culture. SB 1286 shines a focused light into the officer's pattern and practice behavior history. This focused investigation of a police officer's pattern and practice will shed light on his biases, his personality, his behavior, thereby allowing a problem to be addressed before a life is lost. We know that it can work when the Department of Justice of September 14th of 2014 reported that it had opened more than 20 pattern and practice investigations within the United States in the last 5 years. And during that time period had prosecuted more than 300 individual officers for misconduct. DOJ also reported it was overseeing 14 agreements with small and large law enforcement agencies to reform their law enforcement practices. The DOJ reported that the agreement, which includes changes meant to address biases in policing, have led to a dramatic decrease in excessive use of force, more community-friendly policing, and greater equity in the delivery of police services. SB 1286 can bring into existence on a state level what ULEA, or Uniform Reporting Law Enforcement Improvement Act uniform that we're working on, can bring into existence that preventive measures that I believe have been in place. Oscar would be able to speak on his own behalf today. You know, I can't overemphasize how critical this day and time is. We are at a historical moment in time. We're not in a movement that just meant a moment in time, but we're actually in a movement that is moving forward and making history. And you are the forerunners of making that history stay intact. we're writing history. And I believe, that's right, clap on that. Let me say it like Frederick Douglass said it, you know, because I looked at this and I thought, wow, this would be tremendous to share with you. And all of you are familiar with Frederick Douglass, correct? Yes. Raise your hand, let me make sure. So, this struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one. It may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. To find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found out the exact measures of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them, and these will continue till they are resisted with either words, blows, or with both. The limits of a tyrant are prescribed by the endurance of those who they oppress. If we can ever get free from oppression and wrongs heaped upon us, we must pay for their removal. We must do this by labor, by suffering, by sacrifice, and if need be, by our own very lives and the lives of others. This is a critical time. There comes a time when we must take a stand when neither it is safe, political, or popular. We take that stand because it is right. That's why we are here. And before I close, I'd like to call up my beautiful wife to stand with me on this, because we have a motto that we share, and everywhere we go, to especially you. That it is not about us. It is about our babies. And we would like for you to stand with us and say this.
I really would like for everyone to hold your head back and close your eyes. And you're going to say this with me. We're going to say it 3 times. Don't be looking at me. I know I'm cute today. Close your eyes. And we're going to say, it's always, always, always about the children. And we're going to say it 3 times. We're going to close our eyes and meditate and say that 3 times on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. It's always, always, always about the children. It's always, always, always about the children. It's always, always, always about the children. Now give yourself a round of applause if you believe it.
And let me say thank you to all of you. You've got your call to action orders. It's always, always about the children. Our civil liberties are under attack. Our baby's future is in jeopardy. Our call to action is to be on the front line, really bringing real systemic change, whether it be through legislation, whether it be through protest, whether it be through direct action. But none of us have the right to sit on the sideline and just watch this happen.
All power to the people.
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 Thank you.